I'm Cindy, and I am going to show you how to live off of food storage for 30 days. A lot of people out there have a lot of opinions, and there's a lot of books, a lot of websites, hints, tips on food storage, on survival, on incorporating food storage and survival into your everyday life. Most people don't really want to live that way. We live in a convenient world, so we want our convenience foods, our convenience products. We want things fast. Someday that may not be an option. So I decided to set out and live off of my food storage for 30 days. In this process, I hope to prove that it can be tasty. I'm going to find a lot of delicious recipes and present them to you, the viewer, so that you have an idea of what an average Joe can do. I'm not a professional when it comes to food storage. There's little things that I'm going to be learning along the way that I'll share, information from books that I'm going to be reading along the way, to find recipes, to find hints and tips that I will share with the viewer. For 30 days, like I said, I will live off of food storage. The last week of that 30 days, I plan on doing an extreme survival scenario. So there will be no running water, no electricity, and I will cook Dutch oven, grill. First place I decided to start was I made a dessert. That's what most of the food storage books suggest. Food storage books that are all about incorporating food storage into your everyday life. So I started with a brownie and had rancid shortening. So it was edible. We could have survived. It would have been a nice treat to have if it was something besides wheat. However, it definitely got to us all, and we had to throw the rest of it away because we live in a convenient world, and that was a possibility. However, I've learned from that I don't want my shortening to ever be rancid. There was other things like my egg, instant eggs, or powdered eggs that were, I don't think, good either. They weren't bad, they just didn't do what eggs are supposed to do. But that didn't affect the brownies. It was really the rancid shortening. So I went out today and bought some good shortening. Okay, so after I made brownies, the second thing I tried to get started making, was grinding my wheat for bread. There's a lot of food storage programs out there that have soups, and I've tasted some of them, and some are delicious, and some I would hate to live on for months and months at a time. But if you're in an emergency, you could do it. However, I think that if you have bread, if you have a great recipe and you know how to use your wheat or the type of grain that you're storing to make good bread, it'll be a lot more survivable. You'll be able to survive off of those soups with a little comforting bread. So I started, and what I had was 2 hand grinders that I thought I would be perfectly fine. I thought I would be, in an emergency. I've held on to them and had them thinking, oh, I'll be just fine. My mother-in-law had this handy old wheat grinder from 1976 that was not even put together. It was all, the motor separate, the boards all separate, and I got to put it together. And that's what took up my whole day yesterday, was putting this sucker together. And may I tell you, if you have one of these in food storage, get it out and experiment with it, because after all day of putting it together and grinding for 2 hours, came up with this much flour. Because it didn't grind it finely, afterwards I smelt it, and I happened to be pregnant, and I almost threw up because it smells like you're eating a nail file. So I was very disappointed yesterday to have learned my 2 hand grinders wouldn't have worked in an emergency at all, because they are meant for oats and nuts and bigger grains, corn. They are not meant to grind wheat or really any of those grains into fine floury particles. So if you have these handy dandy little hand grinders thinking that it will help you in an emergency, you might want to try it. If you do have a hand grinder and it has the grinding wheels on it, you will probably be fine. However, if you have a grinder that has the grinding wheels, like this one, has the grinding wheels, if it's old, it's probably not made of the same type of material that the new grinders are made of, and it's going to make your flour, at least probably at first for a long time, taste like you're eating an emery board. Okay, so I'm trying to get over the smell just now. I just opened these 3 cans and a can of potato shreds. The potato shreds are 2 years old and they were just fine, no smell to them. These broccoli florets, they are 3 months old. No smell to them, and they have the freeze-dried texture to them. They're very light and airy, and they do not look anything like the broccoli I opened the other day that was little tiny chunks that were just like, looked like it had been chopped up by a wood chopper and thrown into a bucket. And I can't even smell anything to that. But like I said, that's only 3 months old. The celery is 3 years old, and it has a smell to it. It's not the most pleasant, but it's not awful. So we'll see how that one reconstitutes. And the carrots, they are 2 years old, and they have an absolute awful smell. And its aroma fills the kitchen as we speak. Okay, so I'm going to reconstitute these. So it's just 1 cup of whatever product to 2 cups of water. So double the amount of water for each of these to rehydrate them or reconstitute them. So we'll go ahead and do that so that we have them ready. It's going to take about a half an hour on each of them, so I'll just get them started.